The following is an exclusive presentation of ABC Sports.
ABC Sports presents, live in its 28th season, the Professional Bowlers Tour. From Atlantic City, New Jersey, it's the $150,000 Showboat Atlantic City Open. In our first match, Steve Hoskins of Tarpon Springs, Florida, will be hoping to win his first PBA event. He'll face Florissant, Missouri's Pete Weber, who won here last year. The first game winner takes on 14-time champion Mike Albee of Indianapolis. In the semifinal game, we'll see Bob Benoit of Topeka, Kansas, going for his second PBA title. And our tournament leader is appearing in the final five for the first time in his career. From Winston-Salem, Curtis Odom. That's our field today on ABC's Professional Bowlers Tour telecast.
In Atlantic City, we will...
Yes, the Atlantic Ocean is angry today because the northeaster is blowing in across the fabled boardwalk of this wonderful seaside city. It's cold out here, but inside one of the palaces of fun and games, the Showboat. It is warm and comfortable as a capacity crowd awaits the final four games to determine the champion of the Showboat Atlantic City Open. Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Chris Schenkel, and we're happy to be back here for the third consecutive year for another championship. A championship that was won here in September of 1987 by Virgil Hill, the light heavyweight WBA champion, will be contested today on Wide World of Sports immediately following. He's going against a spoiler named Bobby Chiz. Also on Wide World today, the start of the three-year-olds in thoroughbred racing. It's the Florida Derby from Gulfstream Park. Right now it's bowling, and to our expert commentator, Nelson Burton Jr.
Thank you, Chris. In the championship round today, it'll be the only time that the players play on a synthetic surface in the winter of 1989. Now, what's the difference? It's simply this. Wood lanes are made out of wood. They're made out of maple in the front and pine in the back. They're 2.5 inches thick, they're nailed together, and there's approximately 40 boards in a lane. Now, a synthetic lane is quite a bit different. It's only about an inch, inch and a half thick, and it has this Formica-type coating up on the top. It's about 1/8 of an inch thick, and what this does is allow the ball to roll very smoothly down the lane. This area here looks like wood, but it's actually a photograph of a bowling lane embedded in the top of it, the Formica top. Now, what the synthetic lane does, it allows the ball to slide very much in the oil, but when it starts breaking, it hooks tremendously and makes for big pin action. Now, in the first match, we have a player going against Pete Weber, the defending champion, who throws as powerful a bowling ball as you'd ever want to see, Steve Hoskins. It'll be interesting to see what he does. The winner of that match goes against Mike Albee. He made the championship round last week at the True Value. In the semifinal, Bob Benoit. How can you forget him? 300 at the Quaker State last year. And the tournament leader, an unknown quantity, Odom. How well will he do? Well, I'll tell you who's going to win today. It's the man in the number 3 position. Mike Albee will win today. A lefty hasn't won in 9 months out on the tour. Albee looks great. Chris, they're bowling for a lot of money. Watch my guy.
All right, he picks Albee. $27,000 to the winner today, 14-8, 6,555. Shooting first, the man with the powerful ball on that 5'5" frame, 160 pounds, from Tarpon Springs, Florida, Steve Hoskins. His dad is here watching him for his very first television appearance, and he goes against a great champion named Pete Weber. Here's the first shot on the left lane. High hit, and we have a 3-6-10. So that'll get some of the nervousness out of the system of this young man that started bowling at an early age, and as a sophomore, he told me he averaged 190, as a junior 210. And Bo, you can make scores by shooting spares like that consistently.
Well, Steve Hoskins, or any of the top pros, obviously have to make a lot of spares to get there, but most of the players in today's championship round live on strikes. And here's the defending champion. We know how well he can strike. One of the best players in the world today, Pete Weber.
Same clothes he wore last year to win. A winner of 11 titles, including the United States Open here a year ago, in 1987, the Firestone, and it's hard to believe that this is his 45th television final.
Well, he started bowling at such a young age. I remember his dad taking him to Hawaii when we were bowling in the late 60s and early 70s, and Peter at that time was still trying to whip a bowling ball down there. Bowled his first perfect game at the age of 12. Great talent.
Going for a double, our first match. And gets it immediately, applying the pressure on the non-winner, who had a wonderful match play record of 16-6. Steve Hoskins.
Hoskins has bowled in 7 tournaments this year on the winter tour. He's made 3 top 24s, 2 cashes. He missed by only 8 pins in Peoria and only by 14 pins in Miami, so he's been consistent.
Hanging on the channel, staying up, leaving the 10.
Only the inertia and the centrifugal force of that bowling ball kept it from sliding off. Looked like it was going to dip off in the channel. Look at that ball. 50 feet down the lane, almost half the ball hanging in the channel. The big break, 18 inches that ball had to break in 10 feet. That's the big hook we were talking about.
Nice cross lane shot to cover the 10-10. So Hoskins now is marked with 2 spares in our first match, and if you just joined us, the winner will meet 14-time champion Mike Albee, and then on to Bob Benoit, and then the tournament leader Curtis Odom. Steve's dad, Bob Hoskins, is right there. Arms folded, ready for all the action.
That's the toughest seat, rooting for your son.
Well, you got an idea of the power, Bo. That was awesome strike.
Well, in the synthetic lanes, you can see the tremendous amount of hook that they allow the players to play. As you see the reverse angle, he's sliding almost on the left side of the lane, starting it around the second arrow. We know it's going out to what theoretically would be the first board and bringing it back. So Weber used to have that similar style, but has cut his hook down a little bit this year, and he looks very strong.
Going for 3 in a row. And all but the 10-pin on the right lane. Let's look at his profile.
Well, his dad's profile used to be a standard for the game, and Pete's quickly replacing him with that high backswing, a nice fluid follow-through, and great results.
Pete Weber, 26 years old, shy, 63,158 from becoming the 4th millionaire on the Pro Bowlers Tour. Anthony, Roth, and Holman. Pretty good numbers, Nelson.
That's for sure, and those fellows didn't quite have the luxury of shooting for as much money as Peter has bowled for, but as you see him using the full grip, finger inserts for a little extra power, tight thumb hole, spreads the index finger, cocks that wrist on the backswing. Right now, he leads by 10, 4th frame.
High hit. Hoskins had that one earlier, 3-6-10.
2 things to watch for in the synthetic lanes is, number 1, don't get too much loft on the bowling ball. In other words, don't bounce it over the foul line. And secondly, you must keep the speed consistent. Weber slowed down, and with that sharp break that these lanes allow in the last 10 feet, you have to keep the speed up to keep the control.
Oh, yes, former Rookie of the Year, Pete Weber, just marking with his spare. We're at the Showboat in Atlantic City. We'll be back.
For the pride, for the dream, for the love, and for the team, for the sweat, for the drive, for the reason you strive.
For all you do, the clean, crisp taste of Beechwood aged Budweiser.
But for you,
Susan, can we talk?
Sure, Dad.
You notice anything different about Mom?
She's acting pretty wild for her age.
Well, I don't just mean the roller skates.
And the motor scooter. She even borrowed my new dress. Come on, Dad, what is it?
A balanced diet with the right vitamin nutrition helps people get more out of life. Some are finding Kellogg's Product 19. 100% of 12 vitamins and minerals. Feel good about yourself.
Not the, rubber dress.
Feel like 19 again.
These are the Showboat lanes, very impressive. And the crowd of over 500 here, just jamming the place to take a look at the finals of this, the third PBA tournament that we've had here in this facility, relatively new facility. Steve Hoskins is new to our telecast as well, and the last rookie to win a championship was John Gant in 1984, the Denver Open, so for a rookie to come out on his first try and win is tough.
Needs a strike to take the lead.
So a seesaw battle here in our first match.
Look at how this young man cups his wrist on the ball, gets right underneath it, tremendous leverage. Watch the push off of the right foot. Good, solid follow through. And his idol was Wayne Webb, another short-statured man who with a lot of power who won last week's True Value Open. He patterned himself after Wayne Webb, except he says, I throw more power than Wayne. So he looks good.
Wayne finished 36th this week after a victory in Peoria. And again, a 10-pin left lane.
I'll tell you what, when you put that much on a bowling ball, it's not fair that they stand up. This young man showed a little confidence in that particular shot. And one of the keys to his success has been the solid foundation he's had this week as bright yellow shoes, custom shoes to adjust these synthetic approaches.
Three Southeastern Region titles, to his credit, all coming last year in the towns of Conyers, Georgia, St. Petersburg, and Valdosta, Georgia. From Florissant, Missouri, suburb in your hometown, Nelson.
North side of St. Louis. As that town is growing, we have a Missouri boy in the fight in Wide World of Sports later on, the champion, Virgil from Clinton, Missouri. Now here's Florissant, Missouri, St. Louis area.
And again, 10-pin, which disappoints this 11-time champion.
Pete switching to a low surface friction ball for accuracy, using a little extra speed. He's almost 20 miles an hour on these cross lane spares, no problem.
Okay, earlier we asked Pete why he was so successful on synthetic lanes.
Well, bowling on the synthetics, I feel suits my game a little bit better. The ball has it makes a real sharp turn in the back end, which makes the ball drive through the pins better, and I think I get a little better carry.
Chris, on synthetic lanes in Denver, he and Tom Baker had the first 300 tie in PBA history in 1981.
A 2 and a sleeper 8.
It looks like Weber, with his hook being cut down, he sends the ball wide just like his opponent had sent it earlier. But Weber not quite having the finish that Steve Hoskins is getting, leaves a 2-8 doublewood spare. And I think if anything makes synthetics tough, it is spares, because the ball skids a lot in the center and breaks very sharply towards the back end. Let's see if Weber can convert.
Perfect. Remember, he started with a double. And ever since 4 straight spares in a very close match, the leader is up. Hoskins with a 5-pin lead, spare working, shooting in the 6th frame. Our first match, the winner to meet, Mike Albee. Our 9th stop on a tour of 16 cities on the PBA Winter Tour.
3/4 grip for this young man. using a urethane bowling ball, and he puts the power on it.
Steve Hoskins, whom we asked what kind of experience he has in one-game matches.
Well, I've had a lot of experience bowling regionals, top fives, and so far this week I've come through in the clutch real well when I've needed to. And if it comes down to a one frame to win the match, I think I'll come out on top.
And as we mentioned earlier, his match game record was 16 wins and 6 losses. Now to go out to a 15-pin lead. All but the 10.
Something we didn't expect in the championship round today, solid 10s. Pete Weber has left 2 solid 10s in his 6 frames, and that's the third 10-pin for Steve Hoskins. As far as his clutch performance, he had 3 strikes in a row in the 8-24 game finals Thursday evening to tie Pete Weber, 226.
And the man that shot one of the perfect 300 games this week, 1 of 8. A lonely bird on the shores of the Atlantic Ocean in Atlantic City.
Wherever wheels are rolling, no matter what the load, the name that's known is Firestone. Where the rubber meets the road, wherever folks vacation, wherever crops are grown, the name that's known is Firestone. Where the rubber meets the road.
Here's why these members of the United States ski team prefer Alka-Seltzer Plus cold medicine.
I came down with some mean cold symptoms. I was congested, I was tired, I couldn't breathe through my nose. I took Alka-Seltzer Plus and it helped to remove those cold symptoms.
I've got a number of guys that are depending on me, and I have to be out there the next day. And Alka-Seltzer Plus really helps me do that.
Alka-Seltzer Plus cold medicine. Fast, effective relief for tough winter colds. Try Alka-Seltzer Plus nighttime cold medicine to relieve your cold at night.
There are 60 lanes in this bowling facility at the Showboat in Atlantic City. And on the championship pair, Pete Weber crossed it twice, averaged 237, whereas his opponent Hoskins, 2 games, 225. And at the moment, Hoskins with a 5-pin lead, Pete shooting in the 7th, a spare up. Now the other corner, the 7.
Peter just not getting enough hook on that bowling ball. He either has to slow the speed down or torque it up. As you see the overhead shot, Pete Weber sliding to the foul line around the center of the lane, quickly across lane for the 7.
Pete Weber, who was on our telecast earlier in the Bowler's Journal Florida Open as a top seed, he lost in the title match to Brian Voss, 225 to 194. Brian taking a week off, getting the sun in Mexico.
Reportedly going to Cancun. I hope he had some sunshine down there. Weber, 8th frame, trails by 6 in this tight match.
Then the 7-10.
Well, Chris, this is something we see more and more on urethane and synthetic lanes as the ball hits the 5-pin so hard it drives it right in front of the 7, and we leave a 7-10 split on what looked like a good hit.
Devastating. Instead of trailing by 6, he trails by 19. And up is Hoskins shooting in the 8th, spare working. The spare.
It's not over yet. Weber, potential 209 game. Hoskins going at a 208 pace. Still 2 frames left. Anything can happen.
Awesome strike by Steve Hoskins. There you see our money leader's boss on a week's vacation, Del Ballard and Randy Peterson. A lot of earnings through 8 tournaments.
The release of this young man, you can see what we call the urethane release or the modern release. He double clutches his wrist, gets that tremendous roll on the ball, and it works so well. The synthetics are even more conducive to the cranker.
So does that overhead camera. Well, how about a 210 now?
Chris, I saw him lead this 210 split in a critical situation last night as the ball hangs wide and drives the head pin over here and leaves the 2 and 10 pins. He has a difficult split, but last night he made this by bouncing the 2 pin out of the pit. In other words, instead of sliding it over into the 10, he had enough power to bounce the 2 pin out. He needs it right here to stay ahead in the match.
Oh! All those regional titles, all that hard work, all that practice, and, of course, some luck. Watch this reaction.
Really kept his eyes on that target. Boom, no doubt about it. The match has tightened. Weber needs a couple of strikes to take the lead.
Sending it wide, not coming up. And he now looks at a 2-4-5-8. Or is it a 2-5-7-8?
Well, Chris, he's real wide. The head pin goes to sideboard, just takes out the 4 pin, and Weber needs to convert this split to have any chance of winning.
Fun to watch these professionals perform. Really skilled. In the Vintage Chrysler golf tournament out at Indian Wells in the Palm Springs area, a 3-way tie for the lead after 54 holes. Veterans Bob Charles, Miller Barber, and Gene Licker. 3 great names in the history of golf. 3-way tie. Final round tomorrow here on ABC.
Weber in a must situation. It's going to be see you later for Pete Weber. The best he can bowl is 186. Steve Hoskins just has to stay behind the foul line, keep the ball on the lane. It'll be Hoskins against Albee. Young man has bowled very well his first game. Let's see how he comes back in the second. Weber, a little bit disappointed.
And after a suspension and some rehabilitation, it's a bitter disappointment for this likable young man.
Well, it goes in streaks. You win a lot, and then you lose a lot. Hopefully it all balances out in enough years.
Congratulating Steve Hoskins, who carefully looks at the overhead score sheet to just make sure Weber shooting 182, far below his average for the week of 229. So there is your winner, and he will meet now another great champion, left-hander Mike Albee. The Professional Bowlers Tour continue after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
My dandruff shampoo is good.
Maybe you should try something else. My dandruff shampoo really works.
Maybe you should try something else, like Selsun Blue. Doctors and pharmacists recommend Selsun Blue more than all other leading brands combined. What that means to you is no leading brand gets rid of dandruff better than Selsun Blue. It's #1.
And all Selsun Blue formulas, including extra conditioning and extra medicated, have the ingredient recommended most by doctors.
There are headaches.
And the car payment is overdue.
And headaches. There's aspirin and Anacin. The Anacin aspirin formula relieves headaches better than regular aspirin.
Feeling better, hun?
Not just better, better. Anacin, better relief.
For the man who enjoys the best of all worlds, Old Spice Liquid Stick, a new antiperspirant that combines the smoothness of a roll-on with the speed of a stick. Old Spice Liquid Stick, the world's most advanced form of protection.
Sunday, somebody's trying to kill Robin Givens. Robin Givens.
I don't want to die.
The Penthouse, Sunday.
We did some research to find out why the Ford F-Series is the best-selling truck in America.
Because Ford has twin I-beam suspension. That means a better ride.
Ford has a bigger standard payload than the Chevy CK10. I need that.
Full instrumentation. It's standard on Ford, but not on Chevy.
The results are clear. People buy more Ford trucks.
Because Ford trucks give you more.
Factory discounts over $2,700 on F-150 trucks only at your Quality Plus Ford dealer.
Bowlers everywhere know the place to go for bowling equipment is Bowler's Supply. They offer everything a bowler could need. Bags, shoes, and a complete selection of the most popular bowling balls in the Pro Tour. American manufacturers such as Vectors, U-Dots, Angels, Renos, and the Hammer. Plus Colombian balls, Ebonite and Brunswick. All expertly drilled and fitted to your size. Bowler's Supply offers a large selection of billiard tables and cue sticks. For selection and service, visit Bowler's Supply at 401 Carlisle Avenue in York.
Weather with Janelle Stelson, tonight at 6 and 11 on 27 News.
The Professional Bowlers Tour, brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By Firestone, the name that's known as Firestone, where the rubber meets the road. And by Ebonite International, maker of the Thunderbolt for oily lanes and the new Thunderbolt MD for medium to dry lanes.
Doesn't clear, doesn't do nothing. There you go.
A non-winner named Steve Hoskins has eliminated Pete Weber by a score of 217 to 182, 6 strikes en route. And now Hoskins gets another test from the great champion Mike Albee. We're in Atlantic City, where Budweiser Kingpin points will count. You see our lead coming into this tournament. Randy Peterson is first place. Budweiser sponsoring a $50,000 pointless competition, which will run through the winter and spring tours. Players finishing among the top 24 will be awarded points, and points in Budweiser-sponsored events like next week at North Olmsted will be doubled. Albee, Hoskins, Bo.
It's been difficult for anybody in the last 3 weeks to win 2 consecutive matches. Boss did it a couple of weeks ago. Wayne Webb did it last week. But let's see if this somewhat inexperienced young player can start toughening up on the rest of this field.
Here in Atlantic City, a Brooklyn helping Hoskins.
Well, this is a shot that Albee would love to have. The ball gets away from young Hoskins, crosses over. The 3-pin goes to the sideboard, trips out to 6. It's a line drive in the box score. Now Albee, my pick.
And leaving a 6-pin on the right lane.
Mike said that last week, after he had won his first game in the True Value final round, he just got out of tempo, tried to throw the ball too much instead of keep his smooth rhythm. And synthetic lanes being a little bit slicker than the True Value lanes last week that we had at Landmark and Peoria, they're very conducive to Albee getting in what we call dead stroke.
Mike finished third behind Wayne Webb, and this coming week, he will be going to North Olmsted, Ohio for the Budweiser event, trying to defend his championship he won there last year. Then later on, also in Ohio at Akron, he finished 4th in the Firestone. Former PBA Rookie of the Year and Player of the Year. With shots like that, Bo, he'll make you a picker supreme.
Off to a good start, hit the pocket twice, but Hoskins, he throws a few wild shots every once in a while, but he gave me this quote, Chris, and I liked it. I know I don't have to be as accurate as most of the players because I have the most power. And if he can forget the few bad shots and capitalize on the good ones, he'll be very tough.
That's the closest Hoskins has come to the channel. But the end result, perfect. Look at the wry smile.
I don't think you can come any closer to the channel than that. He sends it out wide. It was a dandy shot, came right back, and what the players like to say, he had that ball hit the 5-pin right in the face.
Re-rack now, as we told you, Mike Albee will be defending his title in the Budweiser Open in North Olmsted, Ohio. a new time just for next week. Instead of 3 p.m. Eastern, we'll be on at 2:30 Eastern and Pacific and 1:30 Central. Pacific time actually is the regular time, 3 p.m. Pacific Coast time. It was a strange reacting ball.
A modern split. You could not leave that on the old lanes. And what happens, he sends the ball very wide. The ball hangs out there and leaves this split. He has to get the ball to the left here of the 2-pin, drive the 2 into the 6 and 10 to convert the split. Unusual split, but power players leave some weird things.
Remember, he converted to 210 earlier, but Hoskins now facing reality with that open frame. And it's against Mike Albee, who has a strike up and leads by 10, shooting in the third.
Albee jumping right on that open frame of Hoskins. Changes the match quickly in one shot from a 10 pins into arrears to a 20-pin lead. As you see the profile of Albee, nice and solid, low at the line, and watch this reaction. You gotta like it.
Mike becoming more animated with age. He's now 29. So Mike Albee has strung 3 in a row and is out to a 30-pin lead here in our second match as they're lunching with the pros downstairs. And look at them waving, and there are all the pros who are delighting them along with our telecast.
Last year, Ebonite took you to a new plateau of excellence on oily lanes with the Thunderbolt. Now the Thunder rolls on with the new Thunderbolt MD for medium to dry lanes. The same devastating power core and an exclusive new MD cover that makes it hunt down the pocket and hit harder with less deflection on medium to dry lanes. Make some thunder of your own. Ask your pro about the Thunderbolt MD from Ebonite.
For great personal service and low everyday prices, check the lineup at your neighborhood True Value hardware store, where the March bargain of the month is the Bissell Carpet Sweep. It's the ideal size for stairs and high traffic areas. Plus, it's quick, quiet, and lightweight. The Carpet Sweep has deep cleaning bristles, steel construction, a swing-over handle, and a cushion bumper. In March, get the Bissell Carpet Sweep for just $9.88, where you see the banner at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
Hill puts his world title and his perfect record on the line when he meets Bobby Chaz live on ABC's Wide World of Sports next.
Wonderful Wide World following us. Great crowd here, and they love bowling in Atlantic City as they come from all parts of the East Coast to this event. So much so that Lunch with the Pros, as we showed you a bit of earlier, takes care of the standing room only crowd and have lunch and talk to the professionals.
Well, there's a lot of the top pros down there. You have Roth, Petraglia, Berardi, Monicelli, Mark Baker, Del Ballard, McCordick, Parker Bone, all critiquing some of the action here today. Now Hoskins, fourth frame, trails by 30, must get some strikes.
He defeated Pete Weber in his first match ever on television, 217-182. From overhead, this replay.
The angle that he's sliding to the foul line, foot is perpendicular to the foul line, the good wrist action right up underneath the bowling ball. And he likes his reaction. He's going to have the 2-pin go to the sideboard. There it goes, trips out the 4 and 7s. Hoskins doing right what the form says for him. Strikes, and if he could get a few spares, he's very tough.
Unfortunately, the 1, 2, 4, 6, 10.
My goodness, I'll tell you, he's playing what some of the players call the rainbow shot. He's covering so many boards, it's unbelievable. Now, there's two schools of thought on how to make this. Number one, get the ball over here and let the ball bounce into the 6-pin, or get the ball to the left of the head pin and drive the head pin into the 6-pin. Let's see which attack he takes.
Moan from the crowd, and the picture tells the story. Second open in 3 frames for this non-winner. On the other hand, 3 in a row for Mike Albee, 5th frame. Back at 4. Well, I think Mike Albee has some good news. We asked him, what's the new incentive, Mike Albee?
Well, Tammy and I are very excited because we're expecting our first child in October, so it's something we've been looking forward to for a long time, and it just makes a lot more fun to be out here and looking forward to bowling well.
Congratulations.
And he can put this match just about out of reach with a 5th consecutive strike. Would give him a 62-pin lead.
Averted the split, leaving the 6-10. Well, this pro that started as a youngster in Indianapolis, Indiana, got a lot of help in that city of amateur athletics.
Discovered there in an exhibition by Billy Hardwick, one of our Triple Crown winners. When Billy was in there bowling an exhibition, said, Mike Albee, turn pro, you're too good. Now Albee will play the big hook ball for right-hand corner spares, and if he leaves one in the left-hand corner, he'll go with the straight shot.
Yes. Arcing in there to make his spare after a 4-bagger. And now following in an open with 78 through the 5th. It's a 6-frame shot of rookie Steve Hoskins.
Those shoes that have given him so much support all week, he has to lean on that ball now.
Wonderful recovery after the open.
Once again, Hoskins sliding about the center board, or the 20th board as the players call it, that dot right in the center. He's just, in fact, he's a little bit left of that, about 3 or 4 inches, playing the ball from the second arrow all the way out to the channel and snapping it back to the head pin. But for Steve Hoskins, he's in a must situation here in the 7th frame. If he strikes out, throws 6 more strikes, he'll have 228. Albee going at a 228 pace. But the burden is really on Hoskins right now.
High hit, and it's a 3-6. It's our second game of the afternoon. Hoskins winning the first 278 to Pete Weber's 182, and the winner of this game will go against Bob Benoit, and then the tournament leader, man looking for his first PBA win, Curtis Odom. We're at the Showboat Lanes in Atlantic City on a foggy, rainy afternoon.
The Clydesdales, the symbol of Budweiser quality, of Beechwood aging, the choicest natural ingredients, and a genuine commitment to freshness and taste. One beer lives up to all this. Budweiser.
Gear car pulls to one side. Let Midas check your alignment. At Midas, trained professionals with the latest technology align your car right. You see, we're serious about safety. Hey, nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
The product, the proving grounds, the results. STP gas treatment is the edge.
ABC's Pro Bowlers Tour heads to the Buckeye State for the $160,000 Budweiser Open next Saturday at a special early time on ABC Sports.
Looking at Mike Albee, who has just shot in the 7th and 8th frames. In the 7th, a beautiful strike from the left side for Albee. Then in the 8th frame, he left the 2-pin, covered it, marking with a spare, and continuing to lead by 50. gets a break there. Dancing the 9 off the deck, striking the 8th frame, 118 through 7.
Steve Hoskins, when he goes back and looks at these championship round performances, is going to see the most obvious thing, and that's he struck 9 times on the right-hand lane and only 2 times on the left-hand lane. And what has happened to most of the players, the right-handed players, the left-hand lane is hanging a little bit. They give it a little more hook power, and it hooks too high, and they get a split.
Well, the lead has been cut to 40. Albee is up with spare working, shooting in the 9th frame. Okay, tomorrow ABC Sports starts today with golf's top seniors in the final round competition at the Vintage Chrysler Invitational. All comes up tomorrow live at 2 Eastern. Followed by Illinois at the Bloomington campus.
I will not miss that basketball game tomorrow, Chris. You can say that Indiana cannot be beaten in their own hometown, but I'll tell you what, Illinois is my pick to win it all this year. Kendall Gill will be sitting on the bench, at least staring in Bobby Knight's face. Illinois will give Indiana all they can handle tomorrow. I will not miss it. In fact, I'll tell you, Illinois will beat them.
All right. One thing about it, Bo, you'll always be welcome in Champaign, Illinois, but in Bloomington, Indiana, don't ever go.
Well, here's an Indiana fellow that has a match well in hand. Albee going at a 2:26 pace has shut out Steve Hoskins, who best he can do is 2:08. Albee keep it on the lane. He'll go in the semifinal match against the last man to bowl a perfect game on ABC television, Bob Benoit. That's enough to win the match, Chris. He'll be at least 210. The best Hoskins can do is 2:08.
Mike Albee, who took 10 weeks off last summer from June to September to sort of rest up and figure out what his problems were with his professional game. And this year it's his 2nd television appearance, his 46th overall. So Mike Albee has eliminated Steve Hoskins, who won his first match against Pete Weber. Bob Benoit steps in to go against Albee.
Today's bowling tip of the week is for that person who may have an injury to his hand or suffers from arthritis, or even you senior citizens who are starting to have some trouble holding on to the bowling ball. As you can see, my bowling ball has 3 holes, 2 finger holes and 1 thumb hole. That's the regular grip and is used by most pros. But if you're having some of these problems, here's what I recommend. Try drilling 2 extra holes in the bowling ball, 1 for your index finger and 1 for your little finger. The American Bowling Congress regulations allow you to have a maximum of 6 holes in a bowling ball. Only 1 cannot be used for gripping purposes. So if you're having some problems holding on the ball, it feels too heavy, or you're just having a lot of problems with your hand, try this 5-finger grip and your bowling game can improve.
Now let Bo help you score even more. You'll also fix problems, improve strategy, and practice smarter with Bo Burton's new bowling video.
This video is for you.
ABC Sports brings you Bo Burton's instructional video, Score More. Just $24.98 plus $3 shipping. Call 1-800-4ABC-VCR. That's 1-800-4ABC-VCR.
I used pressure-treated lumber, and I still have $800 in water damage. How come?
Even treated wood needs Thompson's Water Seal protection.
This patio was supposed to last for years. Now I have $1,200 in damage. Why?
Your concrete wasn't protected with Thompson's Water Seal. Thompson's penetrates into wood, brick, or concrete to form a barrier water can't get past, even when driven by 98-mile-per-hour winds.
Let it rain. This time I use Thompson's, a great defense against repair expense.
Thompson's, the first name in lasting protection.
In Atlantic City by the boardwalk, our second game is ended, and Mike Albee eliminates Steve Hoskins, 212, 206. Albee with 5 strikes, Hoskins with 8. Now, how do you figure that?
Well, I'll tell you what, Hoskins couldn't fill the in-between frames, Chris. He has that big power ball, and What has happened, he eliminated himself with open frames. Albee was consistent all the way through, and Albee's playing pretty much the right line as we see him swinging the ball wide out on this lane here. You watch Albee's going down, swing all the way out to the very first board back to the pocket. Now the right-handers, especially Benoit, he'll be going the opposite way, the same amount of hook all the way out to the channel. And our tournament leader, Odom, throws almost a straight shot. Now the oil pattern is very simple. I'll put this over here on the left-hand lane, 39, 21 feet of heavy oil here. Then it's a little bit lighter oil down to 41 feet. Then the back end, even though it's shiny, its reflection of the lights is very dry. And that's the championship here, Chris, and the angles the players are playing today.
All right, here are our next two stops. North Olmsted, Ohio, suburb of Cleveland, for the 160,000 Budweiser Open, and then on to Toledo, Ohio for the rich PBA National Championship. What about 6 through 24 in this field of 160, Nelson?
Chris, we had some new names in the top 24 this week and some old names, a couple of lefties. Wolf was right up there, won his last 8 games. Del Warren having a good week. Dave Ferraro, an All-American. There's that fellow Moser, watch him. Moon Baker up there, Mark Thayer. Larry Stevens, an early leader. Del Ballard, who likes the synthetic lane. Shakeen up there every week. Odrobinek, the Quaker State fellow. Eddie Kelly, Mike Taylor, the powerful young man. Ricky Corona, Playboy Rod Pasteur up there. Troyansky up there. Valentini, Oaks, Monicelli, and that is not Amleto, that's his brother. And the man in 24th, Goldberg, he also bowled a 300 game. Chris, some of the other players, George Branham III, 26. Wayne Webb, the True Value champion, finished 36.
Okay, and Mike Albee, who won the second match of the afternoon, steps up first, going against Topeka, Kansas, Bob Benoit. And Mike gets no break. Light hit, leaving the 2-4.
Albee, the same thing last week. Came out very strong, and then he faltered in the second game, was all over the place. I says, Mike, what was wrong? He says, it was just me. I start trying to throw the ball, then I slow it down, throw it and slow it down. And Mike is very conscious of what he's doing wrong. I think that he has to be really cognizant of keeping the ball speed up, though. He's getting a lot of hook, and all his bad shots have been high.
Defending champion next week, and in 1985 he became the PBA National Champion in Toledo. And here, perfect 300 fame, Quaker State Open, the Forum in Grand Prairie, Texas, using more than the full approach, the heels off the back of it. Just did not come up. 1, 2, 4, 6, 10.
This is the same shot that Hoskins had, and we remember Hoskins tried to go between the 1 and 3 pins to convert it. As you see the ball heading very wide for Bob Benoit, it just cuts right through the middle, knocking down only 5 pins. I guess you'd have to call it a washout with the head pin still standing. I think the best method is to try to drive the head pin over into the 6-10 zone to convert the spare.
So for Bob Benoit, it's an open frame to start the semifinal game where the winner will meet the tournament leader, Curtis Odom.
Now, both these players have tried to make this washout by going to the right of the head pin and deflecting the ball over into the 6-10 zone. The first player, Hoskins, didn't take out the 10. The second player, Bob Benoit, takes out the 6 and 10, but fails to take out the 2 and 4. So a lesson to be learned on that difficult, what we call urethane or modern split, is let the head pin drive into the 6-10 zone.
Still not coming up and leaving a 2.
Well, we saw it last year in the U.S. Open here. High scores, and then they come down to the championship round. Everybody's a little bit tentative. And I think it's somewhat is that they do not play on the synthetic lanes that often. And they start guiding the ball instead of really cutting it loose.
Man of true grit, that right hand with 2 stress fractures in it. He continues to compete. Very tense look on his face today.
When they're lost, that's the look they get. These players are of such great ability that when they know the line and how to throw it, they have a lot of confidence. When they're lost, they're like anybody else.
10-pin on the right lane. If you hear pinfall, but you didn't hear any pinfall, as our tournament leader, Curtis Odom, found the channel on a practice shot off to our right. They've been finding it this week.
A lot of balls in the channel. If you see Albee from the overhead camera driving the head pin to the sideboard, almost leaves a 7-10 split on that light shot, ends up with an easy spare.
I mentioned last week, as Mike was competing, that he was off to Long Island for a charity bowling event with the New York Islander hockey players, and asked him how it went for big brothers and big sisters. He said they really gained a lot of funds, a lot of money, thousands of dollars.
That's super.
Mm-hmm. First strike for Albee in his second match of the afternoon, going against Bob Benoit, who he and his wife Susan on February 24th welcomed to the world a new son, Brandon Scott. And 4 years earlier, on the very same day, February 24th, Ashley was born.
Memorable 2 days.
Mm-hmm. So the pro that was born in Hutchinson, Kansas, lived in Dallas.
The style of Bob Benoit, using the full approach, takes a 6-step delivery for momentum. Nice low profile, that cupped wrist delivery we see so much of today. And almost looks like Steve Hoskins follow through. They roll that wrist underneath the ball, get the thumb out early, and that's where they get the power. Now Benoit, who used to be just a mediocre player out here on the Pro Tour until he developed this grip and release, the full grip with the tips of the fingers in the ball, and then that cupped wrist delivery. And I'll explain to you next frame when he's up how he developed that. Unusual, Chris.
Oh, it is.
An apparent good hit. In fact, he'll carry that 99 out of 100 times. He leaves the swishing 4-10 split. Watch the action of the ball as it drives through the 1, 3, and watch the 5-pin. Here's the 1, 3, the 5 goes straight behind the 4. The head pin slides over and knocks off the 7-pin. Unbelievable.
What are the odds?
About 9-1 on this particular split for the pros.
Okay, Bob Benoit, who was on our telecast 6 weeks ago, losing the title to his pal, Del Ballard Jr. More bowling following this.
Big ball game tonight. Come on, come on. Go. Stick the ball in the goal. Go. Shot.
If this is what Wally Massimino is going through on the outside, you can guess what's happening inside. So if a big game follows a big meal, he reaches for relief, Rolaids, and acid. For millions, nothing, absolutely nothing works better for heartburn and acid indigestion. And Raleigh can keep up his button-down image. Get relief. You know how to spell it.
Wherever wheels are rolling, no matter what the load, the name that's known is Firestone. Where the rubber meets the road, wherever folks vacation, wherever crops are grown, the name that's known is Firestone. Where the rubber meets the road.
Tee off and tip off with ABC Sports. First, the Legends of Golf tee off in the final round of the Vintage Chrysler Invitational. Then it's a battle of the Big Ten's top 2 teams. Bobby Knight and conference leader Indiana seek revenge for their only Big Ten loss when they tip off against the Fighting Illini of Illinois. All tomorrow on ABC Sports.
And that sure is a double whammy tomorrow. Seniors Golf and Illinois IU. Here's our tournament leader, Curtis Odom, continuing to warm up, stay loose, because he'll be in the title match as he seeks his first. Mike Albee, meanwhile, is trying to gain number 15, leading by 23. Strike up. this is something today.
For 3 straight weeks, we have watched the championship round take a high-scoring pair as Albee needs to get over here to the right of the 3-pin and drive it into the 7-pin. Has watched the championship round become a low-scoring affair. And what is happening is the oil or conditioner applied by the spray gun to the first 21 feet, which we showed in our graph, is being carried down the lane, so the players can't get a breaking point. It either goes high or light.
Little body English hoping to get that 7-pin, but closing the gap now to 11 pins after that open frame. Let's see what Mike does in the 5th.
The only real solution for oil carry down or problems like this is to cut the hook down. Our tournament leader, Curtis Odom, throws the smallest hook of the 5 finalists in the championship round. So if there's any advantage he may have, it will be because he has the right shot. And both these players hook the ball too much.
7-pin for Mike here in Atlantic City. Bo, I've done a lot of events, horse racing, judge of Miss America, and in September of '87 I did the fight where Virgil Hill knocked out Leslie Stewart to win the WBA light heavyweight championship. And you know, in the short period of time, he's defending his title for the 5th time.
23-0 record, 15 knockouts. Ches, the former IBF champion, will give him a little bit of a contest.
Ah, yes, a spoiler.
Now, I said I'd explain to you how Bob Benoit changed from the conventional release to the crank ball. What he did is bought himself a 8-pound bowling ball, something he could curl his wrist back on. As you watch his grip, you'll see how he curls his wrist back underneath the ball. Now, he started with an 8-pound ball, then a 10, then a 12, and now he's up to a 15. He doesn't use a 16-pound ball, but that allows him to get the big hook.
All but the 7. Professional will be moving back to Dallas. He has a pro shop in Topeka and also one in Dallas.
And has tentative plans for opening 6 more pro shops in the Dallas area. So if he gets those cooking, he'll have a lot of work involved with him.
Earlier we mentioned Bob Benoit with 2 stress fractures in his right hand. We asked him why he keeps bowling because of it.
Well, about 5 weeks ago, I developed a stress fracture in my right hand, right by my knuckle on my middle finger. And I was bowling pretty well at the time when it happened, and I bowled the next week in Miami and just missed the top 24 there. So I've been bowling real good the last 4 weeks, and I just keep on bowling because we know when you've got something out here, you got to ride the horse for what all it's worth.
And that was a picture of that little stress factor he has.
Didn't bother him there one bit. Only a 2nd strike and 6 frames.
And you look at the pattern of Benoit's game, he was light to the head pin the first 5 frames, and he finally came in solid.
There's Wide World today. Virgil Hill, Bobby Ches. Light heavyweight title bout from Bismarck and the Florida Derby.
I'm going to give you a winner in the Florida Derby in a minute here, Chris.
Okay. Mike Albee, whom Bo picked at the top of the show to win it all.
And I'm going to give you a little information on the horse race. First place, you can't hardly bet against Dixieland Brass. Number 1, he's beaten 8 of the 11 horses in the race. Randy Romero is riding him. Randy won that race last year. And if you want to bet on a long shot to maybe even place, try Traskwood. It's 1 1/8. Should be a great race for 2nd and 3rd places.
Well, we'll take the book on that one.
Now Albee to take a 21-pin lead, 7th frame.
I think your chances of winning here, Bo, are better than at Gulfstream Park. Okay, we're in Atlantic City where it's fun and games. Games of chance right here in the Showboat. But we're situated and the spotlight is on bowling. More after this.
4, profiles in quality. Pride.
When you
get pride, you get quality.
That's what I said back in '81.
And today we still have that same pride.
And from what we hear, a lot of people think we're doing a pretty good job.
You can hear the quality.
You can see the quality.
You can feel the quality in the way it handles.
Thanks.
That's what happens at Ford, Mercury, and Lincoln when quality is job one.
Boy, you should drink a lot of orange juice.
Uh-huh.
How come?
Because I like it.
I like it too. Better than apple juice?
Uh-huh.
How come?
Because it's good and good for you.
Yeah.
Orange juice. It's got the vitamins, minerals, and taste that make you feel so good.
If I drink a lot of orange juice, I get big as you.
Yeah, but, you'll still be my little brother.
100% pure Florida quality orange juice. It makes you feel so good.
ABC's Pro Bowlers Tour heads to the Buckeye State for the $160,000 Budweiser Open next Saturday at a special early time on ABC Sports.
All right, this is the Vice President of Sports here at the Showboat in Atlantic City, a veteran in the bowling business, Mr. Al Hoff. He and his staff have done a great job.
And here's a man that likes the Showboat. He was our tournament leader in the Showboat in Las Vegas earlier this year, finishing second in that tournament. Right now, he trails by 21, has a strike up, can cut the lead of Mike Alby's down to just 11 pins, 7th frame.
Coming up extremely high. And Bob is really perplexed.
Okay, the crankers are having problems as you see Bob Benoit from the overhead, and he looks like he makes a pretty good shot. He slides right around the center of the lane, has good solid footwork, right through the middle, leaves the 3, 4, 6, 7. I've seen some weird splits, but we're getting them all today. The crankers with urethane lane surface, anything can happen. You know what Bob Benoit can do here, Chris? You know, he has changed from what I said, a traditional player in the mid-'80s or early '80s down to a power player. He still knows how to throw that down and in straight shot. He threw it on that spare. Take a chance. You're only bowling 160, Bob. Move to the right, throw a straight ball right at the pocket, see what happens. Forget the big hook.
He remembers his 2 games he crossed on this championship pair during the week where he averaged 267, I guess, huh?
Yeah, a little bit, but a little bit different lane condition then.
Sure. And there's a solid 9.
Here we go. Everything's happening to Bob Benoit today. As you see from the reverse angle, he's on the left side of the lane, almost like he should be shooting a 6-pin. Starts it over the second arrow, sends it out right to the very last, I guess, impression on the lane. Because it isn't a board, then the ball just does not deflect at all. Solid 9.
All right, a 35-10 lead by Benoit's opponent, Mike Alby. In the first game today, Steve Hoskins defeated Pete Weber 217 to 182. Then Alby over Hoskins 212 to 206.
This shot to slam the door.
The 7.
Mike Alby in Paris, 1982, left 2 solid 7s and missed them both with a big hook ball to lose that tournament. Since then, as you look at his wide shot there, leaving another 7-pin, since then he has changed to the straight shot or broken wrist shot for the 7-pin and has become a very proficient spare shooter on both the left and right side spares.
Mike Alby in back-to-back appearances, finishing 3rd last week.
Alby putting a little rosin on his slide foot, Chris, the synthetic, and then some on the bowling ball. He must wipe it off of both places so he doesn't leave either residue on the approach or the lane. But that little rosin on the slide heel lets him stop on the synthetic approaches and deliver a nice smooth shot.
Ninth frame strike by Alby of Indianapolis.
Well, Bob Benoit down to his last chance to win this match. He's playing that big rainbow hook. And right now he has to strike here in the 9th, 10th, and 11th frames to have any chance of going into the final against Oath.
Bob with the clenched fist.
Chris, you picked that worry on his face, and it hasn't left. Look at his eyebrows there. They're all curled, and that's a sign of stress. And right now, that stress will end if he doesn't strike, because it'll be over for Bob Benoit.
And he can't believe that the 10 pin stands. So Mike Holby has won 2 games in a row. Professional Bowlers Tour will continue after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Odom Albee next.
Norman, what's that?
Nothing, honey.
I asked a simple question. Norman, are you eating something?
It's nothing, honey.
He lies like a dog.
Kellogg's Nut and Honey Crunch. Crisp golden flakes glazed with sweet honey and real roasted peanuts.
Irene, what's that you're playing?
Nothing, honey. 2 can play this little game.
Kellogg's Nut and Honey Crunch. Quaker State engines don't know when to quit.
95,000 miles and no problems.
Because Quaker State exceeds every single car maker's U.S. requirements for maximum engine protection. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
How fast does Dristan nasal spray start to work?
Faster than Dolly can pick up a $5 tip.
Dristan works fast to relieve nasal congestion, even sinus pressure. For relief,
faster than a fan on a hot day.
Try Dristan nasal spray. It's faster than...
On the next Monday mystery movie.
That doesn't mean they actually did it.
Burt Reynolds is on the case.
You look pretty good for an old guy.
BL Striker Monday.
By the sea, and enduring centuries of New England's harsh winters, stands the great American home of John Paul Jones. For over 16 years, it's been maintained with Sears Weatherbeater exterior paint. Today, we're repainting with new advanced formula Weatherbeater, the most durable paint we've ever offered, to protect it through the winters ahead. Sears Weatherbeater paint, preferred by more homeowners for great American homes like yours.
When the thunder woke me, I thought about the girls and knew I could expect some company. It must be nice knowing that someone is always there to turn to.
Nationwide is on your side. Good Morning America, weekday mornings at 7 here on TV 27.
Gifford in New York, and coming up next on ABC's Wide World of Sports, the Triple Crown season begins with the first Kentucky Derby prep race, the Florida Derby. You'll see it live from Gulfstream Park. And the WBA World Light Heavyweight Championship will be on the line when unbeaten Virgil Hill defends his crown against Bobby Ches. Plus, we'll have our regular Athlete of the Week feature and much, much more. It's all just ahead at 4:30 Eastern. Now let's go back to Chris Schenkel and more bowling.
Thank you very much, Frank. And here at Atlantic City, Mike Albee has won his second match, 196 to Bob Benoit's 162. I'm Chris Schenkel along with Nelson Burton Jr. And we have time now for not only an Ask Bo question, but the answer. Nelson?
All right, Chris. We've had many Ask Bo questions about the collegiate program, and we have one come in from New Jersey that goes something like this. Dear Bo, do the men and women have competitions at the college level? How are they ranked, and who ends up #1? Well, the Bowling Writers Association of America ranks the players, and here's how they come out. The women's division right now is headed by West Texas State, Morehead State, Penn State, Nebraska, and Wichita State. The men's division is headed up by William Patterson. We've had a lot of good pros from there. Wichita, Morehead State, San Jose State, and Nebraska. They have one national championship, Chris, and that determines the champion for the year.
And more, we keep asking Bo by writing Post Office Box 217, Ansonia Station, New York, New York, 123. And now from Indianapolis, Indiana, with 2 wins, Mike Albee going against our tournament leader, his first television appearance ever, 30-year-old Curtis Odom of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Here is Albee. 6-pin for the left-hander.
Albee, who has been very aggressive but has let their opponents defeat themselves, starts off with a good shot, 6-pin. That's the way he started the first match. I think he's going to have a little more problem with Curtis Odom. Odom, 30 years old, not a household name, but all the players have known him out here for years as one of the best regional players around.
And Mike has a spare in the first frame as we get to know Curtis Odom a little better. He's 5'9", 165 pounds. He is a non-winner, 14th last week at Landmark Lanes in Peoria, 27th in New Orleans, 46th in Miami. Oh, that's a beautiful shot. Beautiful shot.
This young man with a 4-step delivery has developed his game through the regional program, everything right in the proper position as he comes to the foul line. Good high follow through. Not much snap of his head as he released the ball. The perfect result on his first shot in the championship round.
Left with a 4-pin and started to run that one out. So he can start stringing them. We'll see some action on the approaches.
Well, as I said earlier, Curtis has the right shot. He's not playing the big hook. The oil carry down does not affect his ball as much as anybody else, as you see him using the full grip, a little glove on his hand, and he ends up with a tough shot. Oh!
That error. Tough break.
Well, he just sends the ball to the left of the 4-pin. What for a little more experienced player would be a routine shot. Curtis lets that 4-pin slip away and has given Albee a great opening in only the second frame.
And it's a 7-pin for the left-hander. This is the championship match.
Odom, who is our tournament leader, going against an experienced veteran, what's going through his mind is right now he's nervous. He doesn't want to bowl poorly. He's thinking of $27,000 first prize. He's thinking of the Firestone. But more importantly, he just wants to bowl well himself. I tell you what, I don't think he'll make any more mistakes. He's more in control than you think. Now Albee for the 7.
Thump, thump.
Well, that's that kill shot we talked about. Mike Albee just breaks that wrist down, doesn't keep the wrist underneath the ball like we showed on replays of, say, Benoit or Hoskins, and lets that ball roll just end over end. Simple accuracy is all that is needed for a single pin spare. Touch it and it'll fall over. Albee, who used to use a 15-pound bowling ball, said he couldn't carry the 7-pin well enough, switched to a 16-pounder, and became Bowler of the Year the very first year. That extra pound does make a difference.
And a man who had the money one record for a while at over 201,000, replaced by Brian Boss's 225,000 plus last year. And the man who in regional competition, 26,810 last year, Nelson, Curtis Odom.
Southern region, the best player there.
Pin for Odom following an open frame.
Tell you what, let Curtis get through these next 2 frames. Make this 4-pin take a little more time than he did in the second frame. Make this 4-pin, get a good mark, either a spare or strike on the left-hand lane, and he's going to give Albee a good run for the money in the championship.
Curtis Odom of Winston-Salem. We ask him what he has done to reach this moment in bowling.
When I came out in '82. It was my rookie season, so I wasn't as experienced as I felt like I should have been. I went home, worked on my game, bowled a lot of tournaments in the Southern region, and gained a lot of experience bowling those guys. I feel like I'm ready to win today.
Tournament leader.
Bowled 54 regional tournaments in the last 2 years.
And they're cheering Curtis on as they're bowling for $41,000 total here in the final game of the Atlantic City Open.
Well, I was worried about my hair because I participate in a lot of sports. I have to shampoo every day, and a lot of times I'll shampoo 2-3 times a day. And I worried till I used my daughter's Johnson's baby shampoo.
Johnson's cleans hair clean, leaves hair healthy looking, no matter how much you shampoo.
My hair feels clean using Johnson's baby shampoo, and it feels healthy. And those are the important things to me.
The more you shampoo, the more you need Johnson's.
So, hey, I think I'm doing the right thing for my hair.
Nature's light. Bathing fields of grain, enriching full, fresh hops, giving life to sparkling streams, nourishing all the natural things that go into making Bud Light. The light beer that's beechwood aged for a clean, fresh taste that makes Bud Light the one light that outshines them all.
This is Mike Albee of Indianapolis, Indiana. He's won 2 games. Now he's in the championship match, leading by 11, ready to shoot in the 4th with a strike up. His opponent, Curtis Odom, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Again a 7.
Albee, the experienced bowling technician, leaves another solid 7. He left one in the 2nd frame, came up with a strike in the 3rd, another solid 7 in the 4th. Overhead camera reveals the angle and position he's sliding. Albee thought it would strike, not to be.
All right, marking with his 2nd spare as you see Odom leading 4 of the 6 rounds.
18 games of qualifying. Curtis was the ultimate leader in the 18-game qualifying. And then Pete Weber in the 1st round of match play took the lead. Curtis Odom came right back, has led it through 42 games. It's all even right now because there's only 6 frames left, and Albee has an 11-pin advantage. Albee eligible for the Firestone Tournament Champions. Odom still has yet to win.
Well, Mike striking again on the left lane. He has 2 there. So, coming up next, WBA Light Heavyweight Championship. Virgil Hill, who won it right here in Atlantic City, going against tough, scarred warrior named Bobby Chiz.
Odom strike up the 4th, can make it a 1-pin difference.
And the game is on, as they say. He'll move to the left lane now.
Such a difference in styles. Odom, the down and in standard style, throwing the ball 18 miles an hour. The experienced Mike Albee, the lefty, using the big hook and playing the much slower ball at 17 miles an hour. But that little commercial helped Odom. We don't have timeouts in bowling, and he has never been in a championship round before. He got a minute break there, and he's come back and taken advantage of that little breather.
Thought he was going to have a split, but he left at 3-6. He trailed by 5 going into the final game last night, but defeated Benoit 235 to 213 to be #1 again.
And that proves his mettle under fire, and right now he had a chance to take the lead. The left-hand lane has given all the players trouble today. 3-6 spare.
Curtis Odom, the baby in a family of 4 children. He said his mom and dad and grandma were really watching in Winston-Salem today.
Albee strike up in the 5th, 3-pin lead can make it 13 with a double.
Continuing trouble in the right lane for Mike Albee.
The game of bowling has changed. These splits we've seen today are so unusual that as a pro bowler, you never hardly ever see that. A 7-9 split on a light hit. The only way a lefty could have ever gotten a 7-9 split 20 years ago was have no power on the ball. Here, Albee kept it light, got a horrible break, and he has to just go for 1 pin, and he will fall behind Curtis Odom.
Well, it's the city of now games of chance, though. Many casinos here, but some chances out here on this championship pair today.
You see Odom working those shoes. The shoes are paid a lot of attention to by the pros, but even more so on this type of lane condition. I think you're right, Chris. Players are just rolling the dice out there. Apparent good hits end up splits, and nothing good seems to be happening for anybody.
Again, it's the left lane for the left-hander, Mike Albee.
3rd pin on the right-hand part of your screen. It does the damage. It goes to the sideboard, trips out the 6 and 10, takes out the 8. Albee finally gets a break.
Now Odom, spare working, shooting in the 7th. A 10.
Comes in light. Normally you just blow the 5 out, don't worry about the 10 pin. But for Curtis Odom, he has a fairly simple spare under normal circumstances, but in a championship round, anything can be difficult. He needs this to maintain an 8-pin lead.
Winner today, $27,000. Runner-up, $14,000 as the pros will head to North Olmsted, Ohio, for another Budweiser event. We're at the Showboat. The Showboat in Las Vegas and here have 4 events each year for the PBA. Invitational in Las Vegas, this tournament, then the doubles, and then the seniors, which Dick Weber's won 3 years in a row.
Weber tough on those senior boys. Now, 8th frame.
Curtis Odom, who does a chubby checker twist at the line after the release.
There's a song out by Clarence Carter called Strokin', and that's exactly what Curtis did here.
Hey.
Look at that. Dr. C.C. right there, right in the pocket.
I'll be on the right lane. Still can't figure out the right side. Left with a split. Whew.
What we've seen is the oil carry down on the right side. Remember, we had 4 right-handers today, and now Albee is having that same trouble on the left-hand lane, on the left side, because he has bowled like his 3rd game there. The oil's carrying down, and he can't get a breaking point. The same dilemma that the righties had that fell prey to Albee's hook ball from the left. Has to go for this split.
A little bit too much of the ball in the pin. So it's the 2nd open frame for Mike Albee in this championship match as Odom has a 20-pin lead late in the game.
Wherever wheels are rolling, no matter what the load, the name that's known is Firestone. Where the rubber meets the road, wherever folks vacation, wherever crops are grown, the name that's known is Firestone. Where the rubber meets the road.
At Vic, we've been studying all the ways that you pull and stretch your face in search of a better shave.
Now Bic presents our solution. Introducing the new Bic Metal Shaver. The patented Bic Metal stretches and smooths your skin thanks to its unique metal guard bar, so the shaver glides closely and comfortably. Now, instead of stretching, start reaching for a new Bic Metal Shaver. It stretches your skin for a great new shave. And that's no stretch.
Running behind our allotted time schedule. Bowling in the 8th frame of the strike, now covering the 10-pin for a spare in the foundation ninth in a close game between Albee and the tournament leader, non-winner, Curtis Odom.
Curtis Odom with going at a 195 pace, Albee a possible 195. The match is up for grabs, a possibility of a tie. And for this young man who has never been there before, never stood on the pinnacle of bowling, winning a national championship, 2 strikes would win it and shut out Albee.
And then Odom comes up with a split, the 310 on the left lane.
And he came up at the line. He rushed the foul line a little bit, anxious to get the frame over with. The ball drifts high, leaves the 310 baby split, and has left the door wide open for Mike Albee. The winner is yet to be decided.
Tough bow.
Disappointing, a little bit lack of good luck, a little lack of experience, and right now the man who has 14 PBA titles needs a strike and a 7 spare to tie, 8 or better to win. But he must strike on this ball to break the left-handed jinx of 9 months.
Experience showing 3, disappointment, or the man we'll hear more from, Curtis Odom. Mike Albee.
By no means is the match over. The players are not killing this championship pair. The scores have been low. A 7 spare would be a tie. 8 spare would be a win, but there are no guarantees that that will happen.
Because he's had problems on this right lane.
How about that 7-9 split he left in the 8th frame? If he does that again, he'll lose.
On the deck is the father-to-be, Mike Albee of Indianapolis, Indiana. Woo. It's a $13,000 shot.
Does he like that?
182 for Curtis Odom, 195 for a 15-time champion, Mike Albee from Indianapolis, Indiana. Al Hoff, Vice President of Sports, Showboat, presenting the trophy and the $27,000 check for another championship. See you next week at 2:30 Eastern.